Hello, I am back ready to watch my favorite show again. So a few weeks ago, I uploaded a video called I Ranked Squid Game Randoms, where you guessed it, I ranked very minor Squid Game players. It was honestly really fun to make, and I don't think I've ever seen this many comments asking for a part 2. So this is part 2 of ranking Squid Game randoms. But what actually is a Squid Game random? And how can we determine if a character is a random? Well, it's basically just a very minor character that's usually just seen in the background. If a character has a name, we know what their personality is like, and they had a big role in the story. They are definitely not a random.
You don't want to be like this.
By that logic, players like 96 and 039 are still randoms, even though they had a pretty big role in the story. And with that, I think we can start. Grab your copy of Squid Game for the Nintendo Switch, and let's get right into the video. Starting off, we have player 197. We first see him passing the six-legged pentathlon game together with 246 and a bunch of different way less important players. He had to do the Jeggy game, and we later see him during the third vote, where he voted X for the third time in a row. When the O players provoke the X people, we can see him running down the stairs and saying something that we obviously can't understand.
Right, I'll tell you what, you fat little...
Because everyone's crashing out like crazy. We can later see him in the bathroom, but with a different haircut for some reason. I don't know why or how, but that's definitely not the most important thing that's going on in this bathroom, because the players all start attacking each other due to a conflict between the main characters. Stupid main characters. We see 197 trying to attack some of the O players like for 118 and 299, and we can even spot him strangling for 118. But he does not kill anyone in there, so nothing really that notable happens to him in there, besides surviving this encounter. We later see him very relieved when 47 tells them that they can leave tomorrow. But we know that that's not happening because of lights out. There we see him taking off his jacket and using it to strangle 056, the player that killed 67, because that meme is dead and was never funny. 056 is later revealed to be dead due to 197 breaking his neck in the strangling. 197 apparently also kills this dude player 358. 197 somehow got more kills than most of the O players. He doesn't join the rebellion, and we later see that he didn't switch up his vote to O even though the X's were severely outnumbered by them. We unfortunately don't get to see him.
Where is he?
Until the players are pulling their balls. We see how he changed his hair again. This time his hair looks a lot like Daeho's hair. I bet that won't have any plot relevance. Anyways, he gets blue, and we later see him enter the maze. And just a few minutes later, we see him again running away from Ji-hun. He gets chased into a dead end, where he desperately tries to open a door with his key, and he actually succeeds. But because hide and seek is just straight up evil, there's literally just a hole behind that door. He almost falls, but then gets pinned against a wall by Ji-hun and is about to get stabbed by him. But because Ji-hun thought he was Daeho due to his very similar hairstyle, he lets him live after 197 begs him to spare him. He runs away, but it doesn't really matter, because Ji-hun later finds his corpse, which means he died off screen. I honestly never liked this guy that much, but now I think I changed my mind. It looks like Hwang Dong-hyuk had to nerf him after the second season. He's going into the definitely wasted tier. Next up is player 016. The first time we see him is in this frame, when the square guard shows the player's footage of them getting slapped by the recruiter. And I love this to second low quality clip, because it looks like he never actually got slapped, and instead got the money first try. Anyways, we can't see him during red light green light, but we later find out that he decided to vote O for the first round. But we have to wait until the second game, where we first see him alone trying to find a team. Then we see him with two other players. Player 7 is trying to find a team he and his mom can join. He asks if he can join 016's team, and at first they seem fine with it. But as soon as player 7 mentions that his mom would be joining too,
I don't know,
they understandably change their minds. 16 tells them that they were looking for something else, and to be honest, I wouldn't let 149 join either. I'd only let her join if I knew that she and her son had plot armor. 016's team is unfortunately the first team to go. He chose Dokji, which he has to be good in considering that he won against the recruiter pretty easily, and as expected after giving his Dokji a little kiss. He flips at first try. His team is really excited and keeps walking to the stone throwing game. There, this guy player 198 misses the first throw, and they lose a bunch of time trying to get the stone back. He tries again, and this time it's even worse. He misses it like 5 times. steps over the line like a dumb bitch and pisses his tracksuit until hitting it in the last 20 seconds. The time runs out, and they all get eliminated. I don't think Player 016 was something like the greatest character in all of Squid Game, but his dodgy throw was pretty clean, and maybe if Squid Game had skill-based matchmaking, he could have made it past Season 2. Anyways, he's going into good character tier, and 189 is going into F because he reminds me of my ranked teammates and because throwing a stone is not that hard. First try. For this next one I had to do way too much research. Player 84. We first see him, or rather, her, waiting for the six-legged pentathlon to start. She voted X in the first round, but in the second round he votes O because I guess he only voted X because he was scared of the game. We see him standing around menacingly until we can spot her, again in Mingle. She survives all 5 rounds, and we then see him during the third vote, where he is suddenly a guy again. I guess Netflix wanted more than one trans person in the games, or it's just an error that they made twice while filming. Anyways, when Dae-ho shows his tattoo, he and his friends find that funny as fuck, especially the guy behind 84. We see him get aggressive towards the X player, but he isn't a part of the bathroom fight and doesn't attack the X's during Lights Out. But in Season 3, he just randomly votes X during the fourth vote, which means that Lights Out plus the revolt resulted in him getting enough prize money if he could quit right here. Or it's because he didn't want to be associated with the O people anymore after what happened in Lights Out. We don't see him until the fourth game, where he pulled a blue ball off screen. Then we can see that he is the last person to enter the maze. During the game, we can actually see him quite often because he decided not to camp like a lot of other blue players. First of all, we can see him closing the door on player 226, who follows him, but then loses him off screen. Then we see him just sneaking around in the maze, and finally, we can see him running away from player 142. And despite all of that, he makes it out alive.
Hooray!
He votes X again, and the next day he makes his way over to the fifth game. There he goes onto the bridge as the 7th player. But because 96 is blocking the bridge, no one is able to cross. He has a few close calls, but still manages to stay on the bridge for a very long time until he eventually just disappears. Wait, what? So it turns out player 08 just goes missing. No! Because the next time the camera pans over to him, he is just gone. No fall, no voice saying player 08 eliminated, and as far as I can tell, no corpse. I guess he just disconnected or something. Maybe he is coming back in American Squid Game, who knows? But anyways, I think this guy is pretty goated. He survived hide and seek while being on the blue team, switched his vote to X midway through, and in the end just disappeared. I really feel like I have to put him all the way into absolutely goated. Next up we have player 324. The other 324, we first see him during the third vote, where he voted X just like in the previous 2 rounds. But after that he just kinda disappears for a few minutes until we can see him again in the bathroom. When the fight breaks out, he tries pulling back 192 and tries stomping player 142, but he luckily survives the bathroom fight without killing anyone. He for some reason doesn't seem that relieved when player 390 tells the X's that they can leave tomorrow, but maybe it's just because he is covering his mouth. We can't see him at all during Lights Out. But after Lights Out, Ji-hun and his gang surprise attack the guards to start a rebellion. It seems like our boy 324 doesn't want to join them at first. But after 390 does his little very emotional speech, he joins them and gets an MP5 from 390. When 120 explains how an MP5 works, it looks like he didn't actually listen to anything she says because he wasn't even looking at her when she gave them the tutorial. 203's tutorial was way better. He leaves the dormitory as one of the last players. Then we see how he's waiting behind his fellow teammates until following the rest of his gang. Then they make it to this next area where there are like 20 guards waiting for them. Ji-hun and a bunch of other players leave the main group in order to find the control room. Player 324 tells the group that he is almost out of bullets. The group has barely any ammo left. Dae-ho is supposed to go back and bring back as much ammo as he can carry, but he leaves and doesn't come back because of PTSD. 324 tells everyone how they need the ammo now, and so 120 goes back into the sleeping room to get them. But 324 stays together with 145 and 246. 324 sees how the guards are rushing them from the side, which he calls out to his 2 remaining teammates. He tries fighting them off and successfully hits one of them. But because he left his plot armor at home and because he exposed himself, he gets shot in the right arm and falls to the floor. He tries to cover the wound before checking how much ammo he has left, and to his shocking realization, he only has one bullet left. 145 tells the group that they should retreat, but even the way that they came from is now getting swarmed. Every single way is filled with guards, and so 324 acts fast and points the gun onto himself. 246 yells at him not to do it, but he doesn't listen and unalives himself in Minecraft, of course. Season to 324 was alright. To me, he just always looked so extremely depressed, and his elimination became very dark way too fast. I think it's either meh or good character, but meh is a little too harsh, so I'm going with good character. Next up we have player 442. We first see him during the third vote, where he votes O, just like in the previous 2 rounds. After that, we see him crashing out over the X's. Later, we can spot him in the bathroom when Thanos is lying about how the X's are about to attack them. Player 442 immediately believes it and yells at the X's, asking why they would do that. When the fight breaks out, he lunges at 145 and rips him to the floor. After that, he gets absolutely obliterated by some X players.
How many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man?
But we later see that he somehow survived the bathroom fight. We don't see him attacking any X players during Lights Out, but the wiki says that he eliminated 220 together with 202. Although I'm not completely sure if this is true. Anyways, after the rebellion, we see him making fun of Ji-hun. When 226 does the kill me bit, he laughs at it. That means he is evil. He then makes his way over to the 4th game, where he gets a red ball. We later see him entering the maze, sticking with a group of random seekers before leaving them to look for a hider. He ends up passing hide and seek since we later see him back in the sleeping room. During the 5th vote, he completely ignores 149's pleas, pretending that his neck hurts.
Get that neck hurt off the plane!
So he doesn't have to look. He votes O off screen, and the next day he has to make his way over to the 5th game. During jump rope, he enters as one of the first players. When Ji-hun makes it across, 442 looks unbelievably happy, and then steps onto the bridge right before 192. He has to stop before the gap because 096 is blocking the bridge. 192 tells 442 that he has to move because he can't jump anymore. But 442 just tells him that this guy is blocking the way. He yells at 096 to hurry up, which makes me think he doesn't actually know what 096's plan is. He then starts rambling about how they're all going to die and says he's going to kill 096. At that point, 192 grabs onto 442. They both get hit by the rope and fall off. 442 was a lot like 192, just way less interesting, at least to me. He didn't do that many notable things, but he was alright, and I think he is at least good character tier. Next up we have player 172. We first see him during the 3rd round of Mingle. There he and 220 need one more player in order to make it through the 3rd round, and they just separate player 7 from his mom and drag him into a room to survive the 3rd round. He and his friend manage to survive the following rounds, and both of them later vote X again. We later see how 170 sits at the front of the X players when they do their head count, but during Lights Out 120 dies, and after the rebellion, which he doesn't join, he changes his vote to O in order to not be a target for the other O players. When the O make fun of Ji-hun, he sits in the background while not making fun of him. He just looks disappointed. We later see him before hide and seek, where he got a blue ball, and later he enters the maze as a hider. Player 100 tells all the hiders that if anyone finds the exit, they should just shout to let everyone know where the exit is. 170 gives him right and tells everyone that that's a great idea, and I can't tell if the guy behind him is trying to hold back his laughter, because if he is, I can't blame him. This is a horrible plan, because then seekers will also know where the exit is and camp it. Have you never played Flee the Facility before, Mr. Player 100? Whatever, they all go separate ways, and later player 7 finds this bloody doorknob, which he investigates after, in order to find a blue player. He enters the room, and doesn't find anything, until turning around, and seeing how 172 is hiding behind that door. 172 is already wounded and begs 7 to spare him, and he reminds him of how he saved his life earlier. He also drops some player 172 lore, He tells him that his mother is in the hospital with cancer, and if he dies now, his mother will die too. Player 7 struggles with the decision of if he should stab him, but 170 takes this opportunity to attack him. He throws him to the ground and bites him in the arm.
Was that the bite of 87?
Until getting a hold of his knife. He tries stabbing him, but then this kind man shows up and stabs 172 in the back because he coincidentally also needed a kill in order to pass. I really don't know how to feel about 172 because he basically only got one good moment until getting absolutely humbled by the humbler himself. Why did I write that in the script? I wish there was a scene to show how he actually ended up in this room, but as it is, I'd say he is kinda whatever. And at last, it's time to talk about player 096. We first see him while everyone is trying to build groups of 5 in the 6-legged pentathlon. Their Ji-Hun's team only has 4 people, and Dae-ho is supposed to get one more teammate for them. He comes back with 96 and Dae-ho tells his team that 096 will put his life on the line for them. He salutes telling Young Bae that he's a Marine, which is a big positive for Young Bae, who says that with 3 Marines on the team, this is going to be easy. But then June-hee approaches them and tells them about how she wants to join them because she is pregnant.
Excuse me, what the actual fuck are you doing on my—
And they basically just leave 096 to fend for himself because the plot wants 122 to join the main cast. Anyways, after that, we have to skip all the way to the 3rd vote, where he votes O for the 3rd time, and then we can see him sitting close to the important O players. He laughs about player 100's weird wrench joke, and then hits this funny pose. But after the bathroom fight, which he isn't a part of, we see him together with the O's, who are planning the attack on the X's. When the lights go out, we see him armed with a fork, while trying to sneak over to the X players. We don't see him during lights out, but he still managed to kill 2 X's and survive, which is hella impressive. But whatever, he later votes O again, and helps his fellow O friends with making fun of Ji-Hun. We later see him entering the hide and seek room. There he pulls a red ball. When the guards explain the rules, 096 says how the hiders have an unfair advantage and that they can't kill them with just their bare hands. We later see him in the background when this dude player 241 tries to trade vests with him, but he denies the offer, and we later see him entering the maze as a seeker. We don't see him at all during this game, but luckily, the speaker voice tells us that he eliminated player 105. Later, we can spot him during the 5th vote. It looks like he considers voting X. But he then keeps voting O, because there is no way that the X's just suddenly win the vote. The next day, we can see that he slept in one of the really high beds. Kinda cool. Anyways, he enters jump rope as one of the first players. After Ji-Hun made it across, he goes onto the bridge as the 2nd player. He makes it across pretty easily, and then turns around to help one of his teammates. But then something happens inside of him. Something snaps. This is the moment player 96 became Heisenberg. He pushes 312 off, because he now has a plan. Ji-Hun looks at him completely shocked and confused, and he asks him what the f he is doing. 96 just turns around and tells Ji-Hun that he's just playing the game, and that if he blocks the bridge now, no one can cross. After the time runs out, they can both press X and leave with the 45.6 billion. Then this guy 276 tries fighting back against 096. 456 tells him to go out of the way, but 096 insists, telling him that he should either help him or let him do his thing.
Oh, come on, Pimp, let him do his little thing. We just watched 20 people die, Charlie.
While this happens, a bunch of players that are stuck on the bridge start losing their balance or just fall off. We get this really satisfying scene where player 100 begs 096 to let him pass. He tells him that he can have half of his winnings if he lets him through, but 96 tells him to just die, which is such a stupid line, but I love it. He looks like he has so much fun while doing it. Ji-Hun has to ruin his fun because he is the good guy, and after he threatens to push off 96, he goes out of the way. But just as we think that he's over with his shenanigans, he charges at Ji-Hun while he isn't facing him. He throws him onto the bridge and tries punching him to death. But don't worry, they just set aside their differences and leave the game. Just kidding, he decides to choke him instead while telling Ji-Hun that they could have ended it here. But Ji-Hun pokes one of his eyes out, which disorientates him enough so that he could throw him onto the bridge, which leads to this very awesome CGI shot of him getting thrown off the bridge. I genuinely think that Def looks better than Da Baby. This has got to be one of, if not my favorite random in the entire series. I'm trying not to be biased here, but he's just great. Absolutely goated tier for him. Here is the full tier list. I really hope you enjoyed this video. My birthday is in 4 days, and I'd love to hit 3K subscribers by then. But anyways, my name is D1 Squid. Actually, it's not, but whatever. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.
Are you telling me that a man just happens to fall like that? No, he orchestrated it. Jimmy,